Hey guys, today we have a budget 6x6 unboxing, and as you can see, the Little Magic is actually way smaller than all the other ones. So here's the Yushin Little Magic 6x6, and here is the X-Man Shadow. So they're about the same size, and the other ones are all a little bit too big. So this is probably the best one, but we'll see if any of these can convince me otherwise. So today we have the YJ Yushi, the YJ Guanxi, the Cyclone Boys G6, the MF6, and the Yushin Little Magic. So first impressions of the G6 is quite loose and actually turns pretty well for a budget cube. I was expecting this to do worse, but now that I think about it, Cyclone Boys tends to have some pretty good budget cubes, so I'll try this out a little more later. The Yushin Little Magic is the cheapest of the bunch, and it performs pretty much on par with the G6, I would say. It's quite smooth, and I feel like the amount of lockups I have mostly come from the fact that I'm not turning so accurately because it's slower than I want it to be. So if you set this up to be faster, it definitely has potential. Also, I really like when budget cubes come decent out of the box, and sometimes it looks like I'm dismissing them a little too quickly, but the ones that come bad out of the box are almost always just bad. It's just a common correlation I found, so I don't try to go too much into the ones that don't perform well out of the box. Oh, what the heck. I don't even want to do a parody alloc because I know it's going to take forever to get it back. So for the YJ Yushi, I loosened it a little bit to see what would happen, and then this happened. It's not like it was even turning good at all, and this still happened. So this is unfortunately not a good cube. Oh geez, this one's covered in lube. It better be good then. It's not. Well, it's just too tight like the other one, but it's also YJ, and I'm kind of scared to, this is like some 2005 stuff. I don't know if I could even end up making this better than the V-Cube 6. I don't even know when that came out. Probably not 2005. Look at me. This is the best way to turn it. Okay, so I didn't manage to catch what the Yushi was doing on camera, but here, the Guanxi's kind of doing the same... Whoa. The Guanxi's kind of doing the same thing, where it's really loose, but it still cannot corner cut at all. Of course, it's a bit better, but I know I'm going to pop at these tensions, and it's still really, really bad. So, unfortunately, this is not working out. So with the MF6, after feeling the two YJ cubes, it actually feels like this one is usable, but I'm not sure if that's just because the YJ one's really bad. So for the Yushin Little Magic and the Cyclone Boys G6, after trying these both a little bit more, I realized that the MF6 is actually bad. So I find that the Little Magic is really good at separating layers on the sides here, and it won't accidentally turn two layers at once. So that's really useful for the 3x3 stage because it's hard to like hold all the way up to the 5th layer. And for inner layers, it's not a big deal. Now on the Cyclone Boys G6, the inner layers tend to move, and so it's a little harder to do 3x3 allocs. Now it looks like how am I getting it to stay there? But that's because my finger's back here. Compared to the Little Magic, it will not hold the second layers quite as well. So the Little Magic also turns a little bit slower. I would say there's a little bit more control, but the Cyclone Boys G6 turns really fast, and I think this is like a huge advantage out of it. Now, if you get used to controlling this, I do think that this one might be better. However, the size is a little bit big. Now, 6x6s are already kind of big, and it's not like they fit my hands perfectly anyway, so I don't feel like the size will make a big difference unless you already have small hands. And just for comparison, because we want to know if these are worth it, here's an X-Man Shadow M, which is one of the best 6x6s right now. It's magnetic, so it's not really a fair comparison, but like generally, I can turn almost as fast as I want on this one, and it's super stable. Meanwhile, on these ones, like you can see that the cube really loses its shape due to not having magnets. And this one not so much because it's going really fast and I'm not like, my force doesn't make a huge difference. But there's also this. So it's kind of a toss up between them right now. I mean, I do like the G6 a little bit better right now because it turns a lot faster and the control is a little similar, but that's just from the turning test and we'll see how I do in solves. So after using the Little Magic and the G6 in solves, what I realized is that the G6, because it's more effortless, I found that it's a lot easier to use. And I didn't really set up either of these, so I'm sure you could end up making the Little Magic a lot faster. And if you're willing to go through a lot of setup, then I think the Little Magic is more potential. But if you just want like an out-of-the-box budget cube that you want to try 6x6, then I'm going to say go with the Cyclone Boys G6. Now, even though it's a little bit larger, I think that's okay, unless, again, you have small hands and you really just don't want to deal with that. And the reason is because for big cubes like 6x6, I think it's easier to switch from a big one to a small one rather than the other way around. So if you get used to a big one, small ones will just be easier. Now, how much do I really recommend these over non-budget options? Obviously, that depends on your price range, but for big cubes like 6x6 versus smaller cubes like 2x2, 3x3, then these have a really, really big difference in performance. So I averaged sub 220 on a good magnetic 6x6, and on these cubes, I was getting like 30 seconds worse. So that just is a consequence of big cubes because only the best ones are like really, really good, unlike for 3x3 and 2x2, where even the budget ones can be really, really good. So I would only recommend getting these if you're just getting into 6x6 and you're really not sure about if you want to stick with it, so you don't want to make too much of a commitment, or you're just learning and you know your times right now don't matter that much and you want to wait for a better one to come out. But if you want to perform anywhere near your potential, then I'm going to say don't get these and just get the X-Band Shadow or Ouchie GTS. I personally recommend the Shadow, and that's because there's such a big difference that you're going to think you're a lot worse than you actually are. So I have a similar video about 5x5s here on the end screen, and that's about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.